Yes, as we're thinking about this question, we compare what Chairman Powell is doing to what Chairman Volcker did in the late 70s, early 80s, when he was fighting an inflation problem that had been building for 15 years. Vietnam War, Great Society, closing the gold window. That was a real inflation problem that built up over 15 years. This inflation problem has been 12 to 15 months. By the time the Fed started addressing it. And we think it's much more a function of supply chain imbalances caused by COVID and then again by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. These are very, very different circumstances. So what the Fed has done this time around is it has increased interest rates. If they go another 75 basis points, which is very likely on November 2nd, they will have increased interest rates from 0.25 to 4%. And that's a 16-fold increase. What did Volcker do? In the early 80s, he took
ARK founder Cathie was joining the Yahoo Finance anchor Joel Halleman and was discussing about the inflation, Tesla, stocks, gold, and much more. Listen to his interview right now.
What you're seeing in terms of commodity prices are some very serious declines, both from their peaks and year over year now. So that is sort of, we would say that's upstream inflation that is heading towards the PPI and then ultimately the CPI. So we've got gold prices. And in fact, I looked at them yesterday. I had thought that the last 2 years, gold had been trading within the $1,700 to nearly $2,100 range. And that's true. It has, and it has broken down. This is a really good leading indicator of inflation. What caught my surprise yesterday,
during an interview with the YouTube channels What Bitcoin Dad, Cathie, which is the co-founder and the CEO and CIO of ARK Invest, was discussing about the investing in the disruptive technologies, the importance of searching for the investment, deflationary signals, and uncertainty in the Fed making the decisions and the bullish luck. Before we start the video, I'm going to talking about I'm not your financial advisor. So if you want to invest in the cryptocurrencies, you first contact your financial advisors. So and don't forget to subscribe our Bitcoin Thinking channels and turning on the red notifications button.
And so I said, Art, I want you to take this paper. Can Bitcoin serve the 3 roles of money? And I want you to tear it apart. Now, Art is known for his fiscal policy expertise, but his mentor was Robert Mundell, who won a Nobel Prize for his monetary theory. And he was very involved in bringing the euro together. So I don't know how people feel about that these days, but nonetheless.
I'm glad we're not part of it.
Yes, there you go. So then, we just published an open letter to the Fed today.
Okay.
And basically said, wait a minute. How can you be unanimous in your decision making, you Fed board members, unanimous at the last few votes, when there's so much conflicting evidence out there? And so, you know, yes, we feel as though the Fed is making a mistake here, and that, yes, high beta stocks, which would be our kinds of stocks, more volatile than the market, do get hit disproportionately. But something's happening now, and it's happening with Bitcoin as well, which I find very interesting. So our strategy bottomed intraday, the flagship, on May 12th. And the S&P and NASDAQ have broken below their lows. Last week, they broke below their last lows.
When ARK makes statement about Bitcoin, we should all take notes as they are not in the market for unwarranted hyperbole. Well, they remain one of the biggest cheerleaders for the Bitcoin within the institutional space. ARK followed up by bullish predictions for the Bitcoin's valuations at the beginning of this year by doubling down in their forecast. A few days ago, they were expecting a $1 million per coin valuations in the coming year. In an interview with the Bloomberg's, Cathie said that Bitcoin is an in-on race against a traditional finance and the asset class. ARK is confident of Bitcoin's ability to be the heart of the revolution is the money, giving us multiple use cases, seeing as the fund has tracked the performance to the S&P 500 over the past few years. Despite its being an extended and the brutal bear market for the tech stocks, you would not bet against them getting the calls right now. ARK co-founders Cathie said that I am dreaming that Bitcoin could reach $1 million in 2030. The cryptocurrency needs some big-time buyers and more than just retail traders.
Dave, for starters, if Cathie Wood has something to say, you better believe that she will find a creative way to get her messaging across. This time she had something to say to Federal Reserve officials, so she did the most Cathie Wood thing she can do and penned an open letter to the U.S. Central Bank.
The Cathie Wood sell Coinbase shares amid the insider trading allegations. Cathie Wood says the Fed is making a mistake. She's not the only one. Popular money managers Cathie Wood said further rate hikes by the Federal Reserve would be a mistake. While it's easy to criticize her for the taking her book, it's not the only way in the making these agreements. Cathie Wood open letter to the Fed draws snark. ARK Invest founder and the CEO Cathie Wood is drawing a snarky comments on and off Twitter after posting an open letter to the Federal Reserve challenging the central bank aggressive rates hikes. Cathie Wood said she is standing her by a bullish bets on the Tesla, Roku and the Bitcoin. Cathie Wood, the fund manager behind ARK's flagship innovations themed ETFs, forecast earlier this year that the world's biggest cryptocurrency would top $1 million per coin by the 2030. ARK analyst stands by the projections Bitcoin price will top $1 million. CEO Cathie Wood previously said token will hit $1 million. Top crypto analyst at ARK insists the projections still stand. ARK investment management analyst Yasin Alexandra is standing by the firm's predictions that Bitcoin price will short past the $1 million mark despite this year's massive sell-off in the digital currency. Bitcoin price easily due to hit $2 million in 6 years, Larry Lepper. The currently Bitcoin price is nearing the level where Lepper will back up the track with asset managers eyeing 100-time gain. Let's talk about the Bitcoin history with the help of the charts to compare the previous downtrend like the 2014, 15, 17, 18 and so on. Will Bitcoin see a repeat of November 2018? A look at the on-chain data. Bitcoin price is lingering just under $19,000 at the time of the shooting this video, not from a local low of $18,000. When the consumer price index CPI and the producer price index PPI data was released last week, the Bitcoin price plunged to just that price level. The analyst concludes that the Bitcoin price has been in the bear market for 124 days. In this respect, the drop from $6,000 to $3,000 is comparable to the price decline from $13,000 to the $18,000, as the percentage decline in the last bear market from $6,000 to $3,000 was 50%. Bitcoin experienced a massive outflow of coins from exchange on October 18. Sentiment recorded the largest daily volume in the 4 months, amounting to $14,000 Bitcoin. With this, the supply of the coins of all exchanges dropped to 8.4%. This means that the risk of the future sell-off has decreased at least somewhat. Bullish data is also reported by the third major on-chain data provider Glassnode. Bitcoin supply, which has not moved in the last 6 months, is approaching an all-time high. It currently stands at 18.12% of the circulating supply at about $3.4 million Bitcoin. That's it for today. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Bitcoin Thinking channel and turning on the red notifications button. So see you next time.